We got crusty heel today, so you know what that means? I'm gonna pull out my Spartan tools, and today I'm gonna work with the torch. Naming tools is always interesting, but when I thought about what our pedicures can do, I thought about stability, durability, and adjustability. So what better word than our Spartan Collection? Today, I'm gonna work with the torch and show you guys how we can quickly and with very little effort really clean up these heels so that they look great, and most important, they feel great as well, right? Let's do it. Sparta! You're gonna notice that our new pedicure bits are more chunky. You can see like the diamond granulars are a lot more aggressive. So this is fantastic for quick cutting. However, there is going to definitely be a shift in your RPMs and how we go about doing a pedicure to reduce heat. So let me go ahead. Because of this heel and the crust and how thick it is, that's really how we're gonna gauge it. So when we're looking at callus skin that is really thick, I'm going to recommend using your orange or your black band, which is gonna represent extra coarse and extra coarse. Now, if you only have the green as well, that is going to be coarse, and that is fine, but I'm all about working efficiently. So the bigger the little granulars, the more efficient cutting, but it's also going to be a little more grabby because of those diamond particles. Podoexpert, let's begin. Let's kill all those stinkies. After I spray the foot, I'm going to pull my Callus softener spray and spray the bottom of the heel. I'm gonna spray it all over the underside, and since today's focus is just the heels, I'm going to stay right here. But if this was a full pedicure service, at this point, I would flip my client over and start working on their toes to really allow the softener to penetrate into the skin. All right, now, here is the trick that I have found with working with the Spartan bits is I definitely recommend keeping the skin a little wet. Now here, this is a dry pedicure, right? I am not introducing any water, but when I'm thinking about words and how I can best deliver this message, I mean wet from the Callus softener, right? Like you see how I'm not rubbing it in and you can see that like wetness on the foot. I want that wetness. And the reason for that is I want to keep the airborne particles to a minimal, okay? It also helps me work smarter, not harder, where those active ingredients of urea are actually going to be breaking down the dead skin. So it's like working with me, right? Which is important. And also like it's starting to come off more in like chunks, like it's beating up and like frothing off versus all these airborne particles. So it's not getting in my face, in my mouth. And yes, I know you guys are like, Erica, you don't have a hairnet on and you don't have a mask. Well, it's because I want you to hear what I'm saying. So you know what? You do better when you're with your client. And for now, just see this as an educational purpose, and I take a really good shower afterwards. Working in circular motions, you're gonna find with the Spartan Collection that they do cut a lot quicker and a lot warmer. Another reason that we love having the foot a little bit wet, wet does not mean water, it just means being able to visually see some of the wetness from the Callus softener. And because of that, it's going to reduce heat for our client. So as you can see, she has really thin hairline fissures. Now, and a lot of that is just due to trauma and the skin getting so dry that it's splitting. If I were to have like deeper fissures, I would probably have used the spear because this nice little point allows me to get in there and really clean up that cracked area. So when she goes to put her Podoexpert mousse, it can really get in there and start repairing. So I'm gonna switch this out just so you guys can see the difference. If your client has like a little thicker fissures, I would take this tool, never digging in like this. This is a no-no. If anything, I want to leave that point flat, and I'm literally just flossing right through the crack and pulling back the skin, okay? Now, depending on how thick the fissure is, just be very cautious that this is going to get warm very quickly, okay? So I'm using a very, very light touch, and I'm really just trying to focus the attention in the crack. Now, once you start seeing some of that skin, like pull out of the crack, that's when I'm gonna lay the barrel down, use the booty, and just smooth that skin out. That way it doesn't feel rough. Fantastic. Now, because these are diamond bits, whether you're lefty or righty, you can work in either direction. And see, you can do the very similar things as the torch, just depending on what the feet need. So if this was my client, you could go with the torch, or if you wanted to use a little more of a point, a lot of these tools are just for what your personal preference is and what you're trying to achieve. So here's the deal. Honestly, these bits cut way more aggressively, way quicker, and they don't clog up. So because of that, I want, no matter if you're with the green, the orange, or the black, start at 10,000 RPMs and ask your client, how does this feel? Start on the most callous area of the foot, and from there, just gently start tweaking your RPMs. You wanna go as high as you can without creating discomfort. So, as you could tell, my client's heel has really started to soften. So that also might mean that I need to reduce my speed to make sure that I don't create heat. Now, when I go from crunchy, like this one is, into more of the supple skin, I am gonna reduce my RPMs. If she's not ticklish, I really want to rub my bit all over the foot, because even though it's just taking off a little, look at that. It's gonna make such a difference in her shoe. I really want to be able to trace her entire foot without using any kind of foot rasp. And I know some of you are using a foot rasp because you can really get in there and scrub this area. Well, what I want to encourage you to do is like, look at my body strain. It's next to none versus going like this and getting all that off. Why would I not just take my bit at a lower RPM? So I'm running at about 7,000 RPMs right now. And you just check in with your client to say, what's your comfort level? So now I can start to see right here on this metatarsal arch, right here I have a little more callus. Now I could stay here at 7,000 RPMs, but hey, work smart, not hard. I'm gonna increase my RPMs to about 14,000 RPMs. Okay, so the whole idea is the foot is meant to take steps, right? Boom, boom. So if I go with the grain of the skin, I'm gonna be here all day. The whole idea is to work in a circular motion because I actually want to pull up the skin so that I can exfoliate it off. That is why I wanna make sure the skin is dry and tight so it literally just flies right off, okay? If the skin is wet and it has too much moisture, and by wet meaning like actually soaking where your skin is just drinking up that water, we don't want that.
So at this point, you're probably wondering, where do I get these amazing tools? That's an easy question. Check out us at ericasata.com. You can do all the shopping you need, from cuticle prep to product removal. At Erica's, we got you covered with quality tools that will bring you great results.
Okay, let's recap what we did. So first of all, we used the Spartan! That was intense, but they're meant to be intense. First thing I'm gonna do when I'm looking at the foot is I notice that she is crunchy. Therefore, I am choosing my Orange Torch Spartan Diamond Bit. All right, now, in the really crusty area right here, and this area, circular motion, I started at 10,000 RPMs. Always start with 10 and bump it up from there depending on your client's comfort. I was running at about 22,000 RPMs for this particular model. Now remember, you gotta check in with your client because it's gonna feel different, right? So don't just be like, well, Erica said 20,000 and it looks the same. Constantly just check in and say, what's your comfort? How's this feeling? Is anything getting warm? Please let me know. There's some people that will look super gnarly, but then as soon as you just look at their foot, they're like, ooh, that hurt. And you're like, okay, didn't even touch you. But that's okay. We're here to please. All right, now, once I started seeing that the skin was softening, I was looking for signs of pinkness, I started reducing my RPMs because I knew I was getting closer to the live tissue, okay? Where the skin became more supple and smooth is I was down to almost 7,000 RPMs. Now, if somebody's really ticklish, you might not be able to do this. Really pull the skin tight, but what I like is just being able to just like, there's just something so satisfying about just taking off a thin layer of very like gently chapped skin when you apply the new product, okay? So if you can, you're going all over this, circular motions, up and down, whatever's most comfortable for your client. You will find that some clients are so sensitive, they will feel a difference between going vertical and horizontal. So play with yourself, play with some friends as you kind of just get to know your tools. Play with your RPMs, play with your direction to find where that happy spot is for your client. I recommend testing this on your own foot so you can really get an idea of how like the pulling in different directions will make a difference. But If you wanna work faster, always go against the grain. That's why I like those circular motions. Also, small control areas. That way, if it does get warm, I quickly know where I'm at in my service, okay? One of the benefits about having the little Spartan bits is that they are smaller, so there's less heat and more control. This is gonna allow you more visibility in the area that you wanna cut, as well as more effective cutting. All right, we can talk about how these are plated in another video to tell you all the really cool things, but these bits are gonna last you a very long time, and once you start to learn their RPM, they are going to reduce your service time like crazy. And they're also gonna put, more important, less strain on your body. So the way I'm filming today, you guys saw me doing the circular motion, but depending on what your setup is, always feel free to turn your back on your client, post up like this, where you're able to keep your back up, and we could have just worked just like this, okay? All right, so now that we went over the foot, now of course, always ending with my Podoexpert. Whoa, got a little too much on. We'll just rub it on her pretty tattoos and put it all over her pants, because why not? Don't do that. For more pedicures and callus exfoliation, go ahead and like and subscribe.